show you guys my in-depth makeup tutorial for my daily makeup. Sometimes I wear foundation, sometimes I don't, but the tutorial I'm going to show you today is for the days I wear foundation. And I have a lot more steps, so I'm going to try to make it detailed. I don't know how to really make detailed tutorials, but I'm going to try my best today for you guys. Here I have this whole thing of foundation, but I really gravitate towards this clear one because it has skin-like finish, and this one also. This is the age 20 foundation. I mostly use this one, but today I'm gonna use this one. So some things to know. For me, I like using neutral / cool tone makeup. If I use warm tone, it's gonna be like peach color, because orange colors doesn't look good on me, and I notice red also doesn't look good on me. I know there's cool red and warm red, but since I tried a red color and it didn't look good on me, I just stay away from red as a whole. I don't know what my undertone is also, but I use a lot of pink makeup because I think it looked good on me, so I just use it. But yeah, anyways, let's start. So this is the age 20 Signature Essence Packed Intense Cover. It says Intense Cover, but I think it's more of a natural coverage, not really intense. And I use the shade 35N. Over here, my face is darker than my body, so I like to go for foundations that are a shade or two darker than my face shade, so it can match my neck and my chest. So here I applied it to this side of my face, and it really matches my neck and my chest well. Also, when applying compact foundations like this, tap in the excess here. Helps a lot with the application on your face. I never have a problem with creasing foundation. If you want the foundation to apply well, you have to use this over here. So this is my face with the foundation. It gives like the best natural skin-like coverage, and that's what I always go for when I'm doing my makeup. So this concealer over here, I have a love-hate relationship with it. I asked you guys for recommendations, and you guys gave me some, but I haven't gotten around to getting them yet. So the reason why I don't really like this one is because it oxidizes a bit red. If I don't tap it in quickly enough, it's gonna turn orange or kind of red looking. So yeah. I have kind of hollow under eyes here. So for my concealer, I apply it in here. So in there where the deep part is, I apply the concealer, and sometimes I also put a bit here, and also for spot concealing, I don't really spot conceal except if the place that needs concealing is in the middle of my face. I have one right here though that I'm gonna conceal. This one's kind of like on the outer edge of my face, so I'm not gonna touch it. For me, I think a few spots here and there is okay. For this one over here, I tap it with my finger. So I've blended everything into my skin, and my base makeup is done. My base makeup doesn't really take too much time because I already have set products I use and I know where to apply products, so it doesn't really take too much time. But yeah, this is my base with my base routine. So yeah, I always forget this, but when I remember, I like to use a powder to set my eyelids because I use cream products for my eyelids sometimes, most of the time actually. So I think it's best to set my eyelids because I don't really want the product sinking into my eye line here. So I prefer neutral and cool tone blushes, but the only warm tone blush I use is this Lily by Red Love Beam Shake Balm. It's a peach color. So I use my fingers to melt the product. Then I apply blush to my nose, my eyelids, my chin, my cheeks. Here. Sometimes up here too. Using your fingers to blend this blush or any cream product, to be honest, gives the most natural and smooth application. I mostly apply blush to the outer parts of my face because I think it looks better there. I think applying blush to your chin changes the whole vibe of your makeup. Since I started applying blushes to my chin, I noticed like a really good change in my makeup look because it made everything look more put together, and it goes with the vibe of the makeup I do. And also, if you have a nose like mine that doesn't really have definition. Applying blush to your nose makes the whole makeup look cuter. I apply it to the tip of my nose and here, top here. So sometimes I use 2 blushes, sometimes I use 3 blushes. I use 2 blushes if the intensity of the blush I used isn't too deep. But if I apply my second blush and I notice that it's too intense, I go in with another blush color which is always lighter than the previous 2 blushes I used. If that doesn't make sense, I'm gonna show it to you guys. Always remember to moisturize your lips. This is the best lip moisturizer I use. Since I love glowy blushes, I used to avoid powder, but I noticed that powder is really important to achieve a really good dewy look, because if you don't use powder, you're gonna end up looking oily. And I didn't use powder before because I didn't know how to apply it to the right places. For powder, I apply it to the middle of my face, my forehead, and I always avoid the high points of my cheeks because that's where I really like my glow to be. So I apply it in here, kind of here, and under my eyes. I always avoid this high point here because I really like the glow to be over there. So I'm gonna do the same on the other side. And then I go in with the powder to the rest of my face, always avoiding the high points on my cheeks. And sometimes I leave some on my nose, but not too much, mostly kind of like at the middle. For my brows, as you can see, they're really short and they kind of stop at the same line with my eyeline. And when I apply eyeliner, it looks kind of odd when my brows are like shorter than the eyeliner. I think this applies to everybody, but I'm not really sure. But for me, longer eyebrows suit my face more than shorter eyebrows. My eyebrows grow really short, which I don't know why. Since I lighten my brows to like a lighter brown color, I like to use a light brown eyeshadow palette to make my brows longer, so the colors are the same. This is the Clio Pro Eye Palette Air in 08 Latte Senior. Sometimes I use this one, sometimes I use this one, so I'm gonna use this one today. When my brows get darker, I use this one. Follow. So I use this to make the brows appear longer. That line over there is where I like my brows to stop because it's a bit longer than my eye ending. It's like this. That's what I like. So this is my eyebrow with the tails extended, and this is it without the tails extended. As you can see, it's really blocky. And then if I want it to be a bit deeper, I mix this two. I want it deep, but not too deep. There. And then I also use the same color to fill in some bob places in here. When drawing for anything for my eyebrows, I always stay at the end part because I have really thick brows. So adding anything into the already thick places is gonna make the brows look blocky. And I think it's about time I trim my eyebrows because it's getting bushy again. So yeah, I'm done with my brows and they're really nice. So for my eyebrows, I use eyebrow mascaras because I think they make your whole look a bit softer. I usually use the Yesstyle Heavy Rotation Coloring Eyebrow in the shade 06, and then I got this Judydoll eyebrow mascara, and this is in the shade 01 Soft Brown. I've been using this one for about a year plus and I really like it. There. So this one is the Yesstyle one. The Judydoll one over here. So you see their tones are different. This one kind of has gray in it and this one is like brown. I'm gonna up for this one today because this is the one I use the most. This one's almost done and I'm trying to use everything up. So I already applied it to this eyebrow, and one thing for eyebrow mascaras, since you're trying to avoid really blocky and dark eyebrows, instead of pressing the spoolie against your skin, just lightly brush your eyebrow hairs with this instead of pressing it against, because then if you press it too hard against your skin, it's gonna paint your skin, which is what you want to avoid. Then it's gonna look blocky and dark, and that's not what we want. We want lighter brows, and you get this result. And then when I use the brow cara, I still go in with a little bit more of this eyeshadow to make everything better. And that is all I do for my eyebrows. Okay, so anytime I do contouring, I use this Peri Pera V shading in 02 Deep Brown But I've been using this Judydoll all-in-one palette for your full face, and this is in the shade 28. I'll swatch both of them for you and I'll show you the difference between the colors. So here, this Petit Peta one has more brown shades. I usually use the middle color, which is why you see a dent there, and this one's a bit darker. Here, this is the middle brown shade. Here is a darker shade. So that's the color for the Petit Peta one. Kind of looks a bit gray on camera. Here it's browner. So this is the lighter one, which I usually go for, and this is the darker one. So this is the look for the Petit Peta shading. I'm gonna compare it to the Judydoll one, which is the one I've been using recently. So I use this color here to contour. You see, I don't know if you can see the tone difference, but this one is grayer. This one's brown, but there's a hint of gray in it. I'm gonna swatch this one. See, that's very dark. So these two here are Judydoll, this one's Petit Peta. So I use this brown shade over here. Then I go under here, all the way across, and then here. And then I blend it into my eyebrows, which is why I think it's really important to have a natural contour shade, because if the contour shade is very intense and your brows are softer, it's gonna kind of clash, I think. So instead of going straight down, I go here, outwards. I learned this from Xiaohongshu. Here, and then kind of blend it in more, and then I just clean everything up. It's really natural. So for my second blush, I use this House of Her Moist Ample Blusher, and this is in the shade 07 Pink Rosy. I think this is a cool tone color. So I apply this to the outer parts of my face here. Technically, you just apply to the places where you applied your blush previously. The remnants on my eyelids. The place where I put the least amount of blush is my eyelids, because I like my eyelids to have a hint of the colors I use for my blush, but not obviously in your face. Like, I don't like the colors to show too much. So sometimes the blush that I put on here, I kind of put it up here close to my eyes, and then I apply the same color under my eyes. Like that. So this is my face with the blush. Sometimes if I'm feeling the blush is a bit too intense, I use a lighter pink color. This is a pale pink blush, and this is Bling Glow Cream Blusher in 02 Pink Mellow. I apply a very tiny amount of this to the inner corners of my face. So technically, the reason why I'm applying this to the inner corners of my face is to kind of make this like a highlight point, to highlight the middle of my face, and the middle becomes a lighter pink color, which I think is really nice. So the blush kind of has a gradient effect. This art class by Rodent Pencil is one of the best purchases I made for eye makeup. I use it every single time I do my makeup, even if I don't wear foundation. This is applied on my eyes. I have this in the shade 02 Rosy Dew under my eyes, the inner corner, and then I drag it out. When I'm applying it, I leave a space here. I avoid going too close to my waterline at the outer corners of my eyes. I leave a space in there. So I'm out here. You see the dark spot above this brush? I leave that place empty, so it's going outwards, kind of lower. So I rarely ever use glitters, but if I do, I don't like chunky glitters. I like thin glitters like this. Like this. And this is the one I use the most. It looks like it's dark, but it's very silvery and doesn't really have color to it. It's just a glitter. So I apply this lightly to my eyelids. I focus more on the top part of my eyes, and I apply a tiny bit to my inner corners. I don't really focus too much like at the middle of my eyelid here, so when I open my eyes I can still see some glitter. That's why I really focus more on the top part of my eyelids. Next, for more highlight, I use this Hints Radiance Balm. This is in the shade Light. It's like a highlight color, if you can see it. So I apply this in multiple parts of my face. For my eye makeup, I go here in the inner part of my eyes. So I kind of layer it on instead of putting too much. There. And I also apply it to my brow bone here. So for my eyeliner, I use eyeshadow palettes. Sometimes I use eyeliners, but I prefer to use eyeshadow palettes instead of actual eyeliners because the color is less intense and I can easily blend it out. I want to use this one here from this same Judydoll palette I used to contour, but this time I use this brown shade. So for my eyeliner, I follow the natural line of my eye here, and sometimes I kind of extend it a bit and then blend it out. So there, I have the eyeliner on, and this one I don't have any. And whatever's left of the eyeliner, follow the line where I didn't put this product on, and I outline that place to add more definition to it. There. I also apply a bit under my eyes, close to my waterline. I forgot to apply lenses, but the one I've been using is the Olens Big Glowy Mocha Brown. I used to hate brown lenses, but this one made me like brown contact lenses because I think the brown ones I tried before were too intense. And when it comes to something I have to put on my face, I don't like too intense colors. So I have the contact in this eye and I don't have the contact in this eye, and I think the contacts make a really big difference in the makeup look. I use the enlarging eye contacts for my eyes because I think it's cuter. I have both contacts on now, and yeah. Anyways, I've been using lashes recently. This is the one I've been using. I forgot what the name is of this one, but if I remember, I'm gonna put this into the video. This is the glueless one. So you don't need glue, and I think that's really convenient. This is the 1998 one. Check it out. So I have the lashes on here, and this one without the lashes, and I just think it makes the eyes look a lot prettier. That's all I do for my eye makeup. And so I'm sure a lot of you guys know I have allergic reactions to lip makeup products because I never shut up about it. But I finally found a product that actually works for me. I've used it multiple times and it's been weeks since the last time I had a reaction. So the one that actually works for me is the free lip glosses. And here I have the shade Vanilla. I have 30% and I have 70%. And this is really exciting for me because I don't really remember the last time I used a lip product without having a reaction. I'm gonna get other colors because there's two other colors I'm really looking at that I want to try. 30%'s bottle has a more see-through look because this one's a lighter intensity than the 70%. So the 30% and the 70% has different intensities. This is 30%. It's a really light pink color. And I'm gonna swatch 70% to show you the difference. It's more intense than the one at the bottom. So at the top is 70%, the bottom is 30%. So I have 30% on, and there's a difference, but it's very, very light. I avoid putting my lips together because this is a film forming gloss, and with film forming glosses, if you put your lips together, it's gonna ruin the whole purpose of the film forming because the film makes the product a lot more glossy. I applied 30%, I'm gonna apply 70%, and I apply 70% to the middle part of my lips and then I blend it out. So I have it on the bottom of my lip, and the color is really pretty. I think it's really nice. I think the break I took from applying lip makeup made my taste for the colors I use for my lip products change. Now I lean more toward muted, toned down colors or like nude pink colors. And this one is really perfect for my taste of recent. So technically that's all I do for my makeup. I'm gonna attempt to style this hair. Short hair is not easy to style, so I don't really style this. I just leave it down. Yeah, I'm gonna put a hair thingy. So that's technically all I do for my makeup. I hope this was detailed enough. If it wasn't, please let me know. And if you have any other questions about my makeup routine, just comment them and I'll answer them to the best of my abilities. So yeah, the camera wasn't really doing a good job at showing the colors, but as you can see, it's really natural and like toned down, which I really like.